Hello everyone, welcome to the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War Core 3 Q&A. I can't believe that we're here. We have officially caught up to the anime at the time of this recording and awaiting new episodes as I continue on with the manga. Um, yeah, it's crazy that we're here, but just like the end of the last two cores, I asked my patrons to submit questions, and we're going to answer them here. This video will be available immediately on Patreon, and then when I get to this point in my analysis videos on YouTube, I will upload it there. Yeah, thanks for being here, patrons. Thank you for the questions. I'm excited to read them, and yeah, let's just have a fun little hangout and talk about Core 3. So let's do this. Question 1. What's your favorite anime original scene or fight? If you mean just from Core 3, that's tough actually. Core 3 had some interesting changes. It had, that extra Ichigo Yuabaha fight in the beginning. I'm gonna honestly go with Uryu and Renji, and by the time this is on YouTube, not before I put it on Patreon, but I'm currently editing my video with my deeper thoughts on that. So, yeah, that'll be, you'll get more of my thoughts, but I really enjoyed that fight. So, yeah, probably Uryu versus Renji is my favorite original anime scene of this core, I think. Definitely fight. Yeah, I'd say so, at least for now. Although, I did like some other additions quite a bit. I liked how Gigi brought the zombies to fight Yuabaha. But no, probably Uryu versus Renji, and by the time, shortly after this video is released on Patreon, you will hear why in my analysis video. How do you see Core 4 playing out, and what are your hopes for Uryu and Ichigo's role in the upcoming fights? How do you want to see Hashfalt's character arc playing out in Core 4? Well, I definitely think Ichigo and Uryu have to work together, which it seems like they're finally about to. I want to see them defeat Yuabaha together. I want them to kind of come together as Quincy's, as friends, and overthrow him. How do I want to see Hashfalt's character arc? Hashfalt's an interesting character. He's one I haven't really solidified my opinion on, because he seems like there's a lot going on there that we just don't know quite yet. Whatever was going on with his uncle. Yeah, I don't know. I would like for him to maybe stand up for himself and not just be devoted to Yuabaha, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. But we'll see. Had this written down since Core 2 Q&A. Good. Thank you. I'm glad you held on to it for now. Favorite duo pairing, either platonic, romantic, rivalry, familial, and which Thousand Year Blood War specific opening had your favorite song and which had your favorite visuals? Admittedly, I haven't watched the opening for Core 3 yet. I'm planning on doing that very soon, tomorrow probably here on Patreon, and I'll react to it, but I haven't watched it yet. But between the first two, probably the first one. I thought the second one had interesting visuals, but the first one I just think hit really hard when I watched it, so probably that. A favorite duo pairing. I'm going to focus just on Core 3 and say I really loved seeing Kenpachi and Mayuri together. I thought that was fun, side by side. I like that a lot. I also really like in general, now I'll bring it up because there was a reunion in this core, but I liked Shinji and Hiyori coming back together. I thought that was fun. Now that you know Soul King's limbs were cut off and his organs were ripped out, I'm curious what you think about all this. Theories of who's involved and why that happened. I imagine it had to happen for him to become the Soul King. I hope it was voluntary. I feel like it probably wasn't. It seemed like from those glimpses in the anime that Ichibei might have been involved in putting him in that state. A little shady, but probably out of necessity, whatever. Yeah, I just feel bad for him. That feels like a terrible existence. You get all your stuff cut out, and then you're stuffed into a crystal. Um, yeah, that's what I think about that. That's pretty sad. But yeah, it's interesting. I took some notes in some of my videos about it, but um, this is a bit of a spoiler for some upcoming analysis videos. But yeah, it's interesting that some of those or limbs kind of they all developed their own, seems to be their own agency and their own thoughts and their own allegiances, and yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, I feel bad for him. Warning, extensive word vomit, that's okay. Considering the appearance of Ohana, aka Shunsui's Zanpakuto, during Shunsui's fight, for reasons I won't elaborate on, it reminded me that you never checked out any of the major filler arcs of the OG Bleach anime. What are you talking about? I watched the Menos Forest one by accident. That's apparently that's not a major one. It was only a few episodes. So I guess my questions are, do you plan to check them out eventually? It would be interesting to see some of your thoughts on them, especially since some of them are made to slot in between certain arcs of the actual story. Yes, actually, here on Patreon soon, I will be starting the Bount arc, and I will be watching the fillers and eventually giving analysis videos on the fillers. Because I want to see all of Bleach, even the parts that aren't canon, and the parts that some people told me to avoid entirely, and still think I should avoid, but I do want to see it, just for my own curiosity. And finally, if you do, how do you think you can handle it on your channel? Would it just be one video per arc, or would you try to be more in-depth with it? I think that depends. I think it depends on what I have to say about it. Um, yeah, I'll try to analyze them with the same amount of, same way I do everything else, but it depends on how much speaks to me, how much makes me think. But there'll at least be one video on each arc, but maybe more depending. I don't know, but we'll see. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I will be doing the fillers. Right now, I'll be doing the Bount arc and continuing the Bleach manga. The Bount arc will be kind of replacing my episode reactions until the Thousand Year Blood War episodes come back. Hi, now that you've finished Cour 3, what are your thoughts on Uryu's new role in the anime, especially with the new flashback scene? Amazing! I loved everything with Uryu. I feel like I say that so often because it's true, and they keep adding great things. Also, do you have any expectations with the new Visored group fight? I hope it's an amazing fight, now that they're all together, and with their masks on. I'm excited hopefully for them to get more, because I want to see some really hype moments with them working together as like a last hurrah. What do you think of Ukitake and Mimihagi still having something to do in Cour 4? I brought this up in one of the videos I released recently. Yeah, it's interesting that Ukitake is still, in the anime, he's still pouring out Mimihagi, whereas in the manga it got pulled out of him and that was it. But yeah, maybe there's something more. Maybe it's just gonna be, an explanation for the universe being barely held together. I don't know, but yeah, I'm curious why they're holding on to that plot thread. Finally, what would you say was your favorite edition of Cour 3? Uryu versus Renji's up there. I loved Ukitake's flashback. That was also a really great addition. I like that a lot. Other things in Cour 3. Yeah, I'd say those are probably my big favorites that come to mind, I would say. Yeah. Two questions here. Now that you've finished the Cour, what are you most looking forward to seeing in the remaining 25 or so chapters of Bleach? Is that all there is? I only have like 25 chapters left. I'm looking forward to see how it ends and how we defeat Yuabaha, because it seems very difficult right now. But yeah, I'm really hoping to see a satisfying ending where I just feel good by the end. Endings are hard, endings are difficult, so we'll see. How do you think the fights with Pernida and Liege Baro would have gone if their opponents were reversed? So if Liege Baro versus Mayuri and Nemu, and then Pernida versus Shunsui and Nanao. Ooh. Well, Liege Baro could only be beaten really by his own power, kind of, right? Like the power of a god. And that only happened because Nanao reflected it with her Sanpakdo, so it felt like she was really the only one of those options, at least, that could have done that. So it probably would have been very difficult for Mayuri, but he's also Mayuri, so he might have figured something out. Pernita, it's another one. It felt like those characters specifically had to defeat those people, because Mayuri and Nemu's whole thing helped to defeat Pernita by kind of forcing to turn his own advancement kind of on himself. Um, yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel like it would be much more difficult, and it was already pretty difficult for them. But I don't know. I don't think it would end. They might be beaten. I don't know. That's tough. Question 1. What's your opinion on the red sky on the second invasion and the black sky with the purple filter on Varvelt? Those choices on the backgrounds were pretty divided by the fandom, were they? Well, I guess I could see that, because it gives it a little bit of visual sameness from episode to episode, but at the same time, it makes it easy to distinguish which invasion and which part of the arc you're in. The red sky was a little creepy, and the Varvelt, it feels pretty ethereal and like but yeah, it does, it bathes everyone in kind of specific colors. I don't mind it. I thought it was an interesting visual choice. I guess I could see why it was divisive. Yeah, I don't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. Do you consider that Yuabaha has surpassed Aizen as the best villain of Bleach? That's a tough bar to clear. Considering him being a man of action and all of what he has accomplished in this arc, and knowing more about him and his backstory, etc., I think Yuabaha has been more effective overall in his plans and making them come to fruition. But I think I prefer Aizen as a villain, so it depends on what you mean by best. They're both very good, very interesting. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I like them both. Don't make me choose. But I'd probably choose Aizen still. But Yuabaha, maybe he'll overtake him by the end, but I think he's more effective from a plot standpoint. Like, he's literally more effective, but I think Aizen, I just enjoy more. What was your favorite fight in this Cour, and what did you think about the whole purpose of the Soul King? My favorite fight in this section of the story is probably Mayuri and Nemu versus Pernita. I liked that fight a lot, and it got me emotional. So probably that one. Probably that one. But there were a lot of good ones. I liked the Shinsui and Nemu fight. I liked Yuabaha and Ichigo. I liked Ichigo. Was that in Cour 3? Yeah, when Ichigo fought Uryu. That was also really good. That might be up there too. Congratulations on getting caught up faster than I expected. Hey, I try. Based on the number of chapters remaining, longtime fans are expecting a lot of original content overseen by Kubo for Cour 4. How are you feeling about experiencing original Bleach content at the same time as everyone else? It's pretty surreal. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I've always been just behind, and that's been a very fun experience to kind of, and I've enjoyed having people tell me that, like, they're vicariously reliving Bleach through me. I think that's been an honor, and it's been fun, and I'm glad to be able to do that. But yeah, it's been interesting. So yeah, it'll be weird being caught up at least to, the canon stuff in the anime. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to watch it week to week and do videos week to week as a contemporary. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's surreal but exciting. What do you think of Yuabaha's goal of ending his father's suffering in order to create his new world? What's your opinion on the Almighty, and what's your opinion on Yuabaha's Eldritch form at the end? His dad did seem to be in rough shape, so there's that. So I guess that's a nice thing for him to help him get out of that. Get out of the crystal. It's a bit of a mercy. What's your opinion of the Almighty? It's terrifying. I don't know how you beat it, honestly. Um, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I guess you have to maybe do things that would be completely unexpected. I don't know. What's your opinion on Yuabaha's Eldritch form? It's spooky. It's got like the veil of eyeballs, and he's still very much him. Like beneath, like from this point down, there's just the mustache. I wish the mustache was incorporated more. Maybe some eyeballs on the mustache. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Maori is considered the MVP of the Thousand Year Blood War. Damn right he is. Has this arc solidified him as one of your favorite characters in the series? Absolutely. I've always enjoyed Maori. He's a psycho. He's a terrible person. But he's really fun to read. And he has saved a lot of people this arc. So, and throughout time. So he's a complex, interesting character. And I love him a lot. Bleach tends to have a duo of antagonists in each major arc, one wild and rebellious and the other cold and loyal to the established order. Renji and Byakuya in the Soul Society arc, Grimmjow and Ukiura in the Arrancar arc, and Baz and Jugrum in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. How do you feel the Quincy duo compares to the other duos, both in regards to their roles in the arc and their dynamic within each other? I get into this a lot, and I have a lot of notes for that friend video that'll be um, it's going to be a little further down the line than it is in the manga, just so I can talk about both because of the way it all worked out. But I talked about this a lot, that I think this is one of the most effective pairings because we got to see a lot about their relationship and their backstory, and I loved how they bounced off each other and what they each represented and their expectations for themselves and for each other and how they kind of subverted that. I really enjoyed their whole dynamic. I think they're probably, as far as when it, because I agree, it's always interesting to have those pairings. Like Renji and Byakuya was fascinating, especially in the Soul Society arc. And yeah, Grimmjow and Ukiura, especially in how they related to Ichigo, was very interesting. But Haschwald and Baz, I think, have the most interesting relationship when it comes to each other. So I really like that as a duo, that there's a lot of emotional history there between them. Who's your favorite member of the Schutzstaffel Quincy Royal Guards, and what do you think of their powers and transformations? My favorite member is probably Askin Naklavar. He makes me laugh. But I like them all for, as antagonists. I have a soft spot for Gerard Valkyrie, but that's probably because how much I love Thor. I like that type of character that just likes to fight. What do you think of their powers? Their powers are interesting. Pernita's was scary, and his true self was pretty surprising. Gerard's powers are kind of what I expected, except he grows giant, of course. Yeah, I really like all their abilities. But yeah, I think Naklavar is my favorite personality-wise. Abilities, I mean, tough to say. The death dealing is also really unique, and I like it a lot. So maybe the death dealing, maybe it's just Naklavar all around. I don't know. Knowing Baz B and Haschwald have been around for at least 1,000 years, how does it feel knowing the only Soul Reapers, not including the Royal Guard, older than the two, are like Yamamoto, Unohana, and Sasakibe? That is funny when you think about it, because they obviously don't look that old. But yeah, they've been around a long time. Do you think if Baz still had his Volstrandish, he could have actually won the fight? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it comes down to kind of that traditional thing of like a hot head versus someone with a cool head. Like, I think Haschwald is much more well balanced in his approach to fighting, it seems. And like, he's like, yes, he gets his like, switcheroo with Yuabaha, but even without that, I feel like he's just more level-headed than Baz, and Baz is obviously a very fiery, direct, emotional character, and I just feel like Haschwald naturally counteracts that, so I don't think so. Will you be reading the beginning of The Revive of Tomorrow? It's sort of like the other two short stories you read and takes place at some point during Cours 2 or 3. It's about Izuru and Central 46. Yeah, I'm hoping to read everything I can, so yeah, uh, I hope so. I hope I'll be reading that. Love your channel. Thanks, Agamotto, for all the great content. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Why do you think the Soul King is so fixated on Ichigo? In Season 2, Cringy mentions that the Soul King is interested in Ichigo's power, and in Season 3 we learn that Adnias foresaw the future and the destruction of the Quincy, meaning he likely foresaw his own death at Ichigo's hands. Do you think the Soul King's obsession comes from Ichigo being the only one who can break the seal, or is it there's something more behind it? I also found it interesting that after Ichigo cuts him in half, the Soul King almost looks happy. What do you think that moment was meant to show? That is really interesting, and I hadn't really thought much about that he had the ability to foresee the future, so he would have probably foreseen Ichigo being the one to free him or to kill him. That could be why, but I still maintain my theory that Ichigo is intended to be the next Soul King. That just feels like the direction things have been going in. So I think it's that, but I could also see it being that, he knew that Ichigo was going to be, but maybe that's mixed in, that's part of the initiation into taking over. But yeah, he did seem happy, I'm sure. I just feel like being stuck in that thing, being an omnipotent god without any limbs, and apparently without a heart, that must suck, so he probably was a little bit happy. Now that you know the full alphabet of the Sternritter, what do you think was up with Shaz Domino? Context, he was the guy in the first invasion that stabbed Akon with reishi daggers, and when Ichigo arrived, he introduced himself as one of the Sternritters, and then Ichigo one-shotted him right as he was about to boast about his power. Yeah, I forgot about that guy. And yeah, the alphabet is completely full without him in there, so what do you think was up with that? I don't know, maybe that's an oversight, or I forgot about him. I forgot that he was even a thing. Like, I remembered the 3 that Kenpachi killed, but yeah, Shaz Domino, huh? So he didn't have a letter. That's interesting, because we've seen, like, obviously Yuabaha and Uryu share A, and Gremmy was the visionary, and also the invisible guy that Gremmy created, I forget his name, he was also a V. What was it, Vanishing? So maybe Shaz Domino shares a letter with someone else? I completely forgot this guy existed. Thank you for the reminder, because I probably never would have remembered him. Favorite Bleach soundtrack, if any at all? I mean, number 1 always gets me hyped, and it's used in such incredible moments, so probably that. It's stereotypical, probably. Yeah, I'd have to think more on some of the other... There's a lot of great sad music in Bleach, too. But number 1 is just... The anime has given Ichigo a lot more context, and Yuabaha giving Ichigo a glimpse of his past. How do you think they will interact once they finally face off with the anime? Will Ichigo show more empathy? Maybe. Because he'll be able to see... he'll have that information about the Soul King. Yeah, he might have empathy, but I mean, I feel like it's not going to be like enough to just talk him out of it. I do think they're going to have to throw down at this point. Would you like if Kubo reveals Aizen's backstory in the future? Would you like to keep it a secret, and that way keeping Aizen as a force of nature kind of character? I'd prefer if it remains mysterious. As interested as I would be to learn about Aizen's backstory, I think it works better if we don't really know. How hard is it for you not to get involved with spoilers? Any tips and tricks? I just avoid anything pretty much anime related in the past while, like as far as like YouTube. Like I used to watch like a lot of One Piece videos and stuff, but I don't really anymore. My YouTube watching mostly consists of like movie discussions and comic book discussions, like American comics. Yeah, I kind of just avoid the entire genre. And I never type Bleach into the search bar. Yeah, that's pretty much, I've been very lucky. And like anytime I think even I'm like seeing anything Bleach related anywhere, I like look away because I don't want to see. So it's been I wouldn't say hard, but it's definitely a conscious effort to make sure I don't. Like all the images I get are sent to me by my friend Henry, which is either the panels, the screenshots, the renders. That's all sent by him. So even my like Google searches aren't stained with Bleach stuff. The algorithm doesn't really send me Bleach things, thankfully. You mentioned your Bleach fan friend who introduced the series to you. Yes, Henry. What did he tell you about the anime before you started, and what were you thinking about it beforehand? I knew that Bleach was about a guy with a big sword. I think I knew he was like a Grim Reaper. Um, I knew it was like supernatural-ish, and it was one of the big three, because I obviously have grown up with One Piece, I watched Naruto, and I just... Yeah, that's pretty much kind of, I think that. I knew what Ichigo looked like. And like I probably could have told you if like I saw an image of like Kenpachi, or like, people in those robes. Like Soul Reapers, I probably could have said, oh, that's probably someone from Bleach. But, yeah, besides that, Henry didn't really tell me more than that. He just, I talked about wanting to do it, and he said he was a huge fan. He wanted to help me, guide me through it, so, yeah. Maybe when you already finish the series, we can have both you in a video talking about the two different experiences. That would be fun. So maybe, that would be fun. If he's up for that, that would actually be a lot of fun. What's your unpopular opinion about Bleach? Hating on Yami is kind of popular, so that doesn't count. My unpopular opinion, I'm not really sure, because I kind of avoid comments and stuff. I'm not really sure what's not popular. Only really if I'm told by, like, Henry that, a specific thing is, like, controversial. Like I was told about Gigi's whole status is apparently controversial. Yeah, besides that, I'm not really sure what's popular. Is Barragan as beloved as I love him, or is that controversial? Maybe, I mean, I did hear that the Fullbring arc was not super liked at the time. Like it was, so maybe that. Like I loved the Lost Agent arc, so maybe that. Let's go with that. Will you make analysis videos of the Core 4 anime episodes after you react to them? I think it would be a good idea considering how much they're likely. Yes, I will be. So I'll be continuing with the manga analysis videos, and then also week to week, hopefully, when that's coming out, I'll both react on Patreon, and then I'll do analysis videos on YouTube for the Core 4 episodes. And who knows, it might work out, depending on when Core 4 comes out, where I can just kind of merge my manga thoughts with the episode thoughts like I have been doing, but I don't know about that. We'll see. But yeah, I will be talking about the episodes in depth, so... Were you pleasantly surprised about our not Jawa friend Pernita being an arm and Gerard being a heart? Yeah, that was very surprising. Side note, we all thought he was a Jawa back in the day. He is a Jawa. He looked like one. Hey, I was wondering your thoughts on the Fullbringers we have yet to see. What role do you think they will play? Love the content, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see the Fullbringers that haven't come back yet. I imagine at this point, because we're holding out so long, they've got to play a big role toward the end. Tsukishima's got such an interesting power. I feel like that's gotta come in handy in some capacity. I don't know how. Maybe he could like rewrite Baz's role in Hoshvalt's past, or Yuabaha's role in Hoshvalt's past, to get him to stop being so loyal. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's tough to say. But I do think Tsukishima, of the three, has the power that might be the most helpful. Although I would love to see Giriko's powers actually kind of be used, because he didn't really get much chance to use them in the Lost Agent arc. Other than the ones not yet revealed, what are some Bankai you wish got more usage on screen, or wish got new abilities? More usage on screen. Shinji's reveal was really cool. I wish we got to see more of it. What are the ones that are revealed that I wish we got more of? I mean, Ikaku. I'd love to see that again. That was such a hype moment back in the day. So probably that. Would you be willing to do a list where you rank the Sternritter based on your personal enjoyment? Oh, of course. That's what I usually do with these groups. I'm just waiting to, learn more and fully form my opinion on all of them before. But yeah, there will be a Sternritter ranking video at some point in time. And I'm sure there'll be a video where my wife reacts to their designs as well. The opening theme of Cour 3 is one of the most spoiler-filled openings of the series. Do you think watching the opening of Cour 3 from the beginning of the Cour would have ruined the season for you? Especially since you would have not read those sections of the manga yet either. I have not watched the opening for Cour 3 yet, as of this recording. I plan to do so tomorrow and post my reaction to it on the Patreon, but yeah, if it has a bunch of spoilers, it probably would have ruined it for me, which is why I avoid the openings until afterward. What's your favorite and least favorite change in Cour 3? My favorite change might be typically anything involving Uryu. Least favorite change. What change did I not? I didn't like that they take away Koen's funny moment of knocking out Ichigo by accident. But they keep taking out stuff like that. But I'm trying to think, what other things did I not like the change? Typically, I enjoy the changes. That's a tough one. I'd have to think more on the least part. Also, who's your guess for the last two war potentials? So far, we know Ichigo, Aizen. Right. I still think it could be Ryukin. Maybe he knows some damaging information that makes him a threat. Ichibei probably, right? Like he was powerful. Maybe someone else from Squad Zero as well. Yeah, I forget who my original guesses were. But yeah, that's what I'd say now. What are your thoughts on the change of moments from the anime in comparison with how they were presented in the manga? Pushing Friend to a later point as an example, seeing both Shunsui and Mayori's fight play alongside instead of one after the other. Moving Karin and Yuza's reaction to the tremors, yeah, that was later. Right, so what do I think about the changes of like the order of things? I thought they were interesting. I'm not sure. I could see Friend being pushed later because then Haschwald became more central in those last chapters as far as the present day. So I can see doing that to kind of keep that drama close together. The intercutting between Mayori and Shunsui was interesting. I wasn't really sure what the purpose of the back and forth was, just to show that they happened simultaneously, I guess, but yeah, I kind of would have preferred them to just keep them. I think I liked being kind of in it in the manga and not being shown anything else. Like I felt more connected to what was going on. I mean, the anime still handled those fights well, but I would have preferred that they just kept them together. The season did such a good job reweaving the plot in with the new scenes. What has been your favorite new addition so far? Mine's been the new lore additions. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about a few things this video that I've already forgotten because it's a Monday. But yeah, some of the stuff I talked about earlier, the changes. Everything with Uryu was great. Yeah, a lot of good additions. And it does do a good job of adding new things. Oh, the Ukitake flashback, also fantastic. Now that every word, mostly, have been shown through the Sternritter, what is a word you wished he had used to see what Kubo could have done with it? My example is the geological. I've always loved Earth abilities. Me too, and Kubo doesn't really do much Earth element stuff in Bleach. You know what? You're right. I love Earthbenders in The Last Airbender. That's my group. So I would have loved to have seen more of that. What would I like to have seen? That's a great question. It's a great question, and I'm blanking real hard right now. Were there any water-based powers with the Sternritter? The aquatic? No, that would have taken A. Maybe instead of the underbelly, he could have been the underwater, and Najgoop could have been like Aquaman or Waterbender. I don't know, maybe something water-related would have been fun. Compared to before you started Thousand Year Blood War, would you say your expectations for this arc so far have been met, exceeded, or even let you down? Definitely, I'd say at least met, many times succeeded, like, exceeded. The Thousand Year Blood War has been great, and I've enjoyed, like, pretty much every part of it. So I'd say, yeah, probably exceeded. I don't know about let down, no. No. There's been things I've wanted to see that haven't happened, like more of Mayori's connection to the Quincy in general. I think I would have liked to have seen, but I've loved what they've done with him in the arc, so yeah, I'd say exceeded. What's the biggest Bleach spoiler you've seen that maybe ruined your enjoyment pre-Thousand Year Blood War or in Thousand Year Blood War? Thankfully, I didn't see anything that ruined anything. I've avoided it very well. The closest things, I guess, that could have ruined it, but like were too vague, was I've seen Aizen's design from Thousand Year Blood War, like in images, like profile images and like avatars of people on like social media. But the thing is, I didn't realize that was Aizen until we got there, so that didn't really matter. I saw Ginjo, I talked about this in my analysis video, I think Ginjo on the screen on Hulu for Bleach, for the title screen, for like months and months, but I had no idea who he was, and it didn't spoil anything, so yeah, I haven't been spoiled on anything, thankfully. Not a thing, so that's been a blessing. A miracle. Since the Forest of Minnows is technically canon, with Kuba mentioning how he originally intended it to be part of the manga, how would you feel about Ashido making a return in Cour 4? I'd love that. I want Ashido to come back. He needs to get out of Hueco Mundo. I always thought it was a missed opportunity. He was never shown defending Hueco Mundo from the Quincy invasion because he was such a cool character. Yeah, I agree. I would have loved to see Ashido. Anywhere you put him, that was a fun few episodes. He was a cool character. Bring him back. Bring him back. Just thought of another question. Do you plan to read the special Bleach one-shot once you finish the manga? I highly recommend it since it's a continuation of the story. Yeah, definitely. If it's anything, I'm planning on reading like everything, so especially if it's a continuation. So yeah, I'll read that. Thoughts on Shunsui as a character now? Since he had his big moment with Bankai, we can now see him before knowing his Shikai and Bankai, to seeing what revelations they bring out for his character. The obvious one is how his Shikai matches his outward personality, where Bankai reflects what's likely under all of his lazy, goofy behavior. Yes, I bring that up in the notes for that video that you'll see in the near future. Loved that. Do you think he cemented himself as a valid head captain? Congrats on getting through Cour 3. Thanks. Absolutely. I think he's taken up the leadership role really well, considering how, like, irresponsible he seemed early on in the series. And it's been in interesting ways. I think, like I talked about recently when I released the video with him letting Aizen out, he's willing to do some very, unpopular things for the betterment of the Soul Society. So sometimes leaders have to do that, unfortunately. Any last minute, or maybe fortunately, any last minute predictions for the end of the story? No, I assume Ichigo's gonna win. I don't know how. My big prediction still is that he's gonna replace the Soul King, but that's about the only one I can safely. Otherwise, I imagine we'll see Kenpachi's Bankai, hopefully. That's a prediction. Yeah. Throughout your entire journey of watching Bleach, have you ever accidentally been spoiled about something? No, thankfully. For me, it was nearly impossible to avoid spoilers when I started Bleach, so it's an accomplishment if you've actually been able to enjoy the series spoiler-free. Yeah, I have been able to, thankfully. Like I said, I saw things like Aizen's design from Thousand Year Blood War, but I didn't realize what I was looking at, so there's that. Any theories for any remaining unrevealed Bankais before the manga ends? Not really. I don't... Kenpachi's is the big one I want to see. And I don't know if it's just going to give him an even bigger sword or what. But I hope we get to see that. I feel like we will. Is the Thousand Year Blood War everything you want it to be so far, or is it still missing something? That's pretty much everything I've wanted it to be. Like I said, the only things are little things. Like I wish Mayori's history with the Quincy's was more upfront. I think that would add a little layer of drama. Um, but besides that, it's pretty much everything I wanted it to be. I'm just happy with what we're getting. Has this stretch of the war been better than the Great Ninja War thus far? Yes, I would say so. I'm not the biggest fan of the fourth Ninja War from Naruto. Um, there are parts of it I really like, but the stakes I always felt like were a little. I don't know. I didn't love that the opposing forces. A lot of the enemies were like what was his name? You know who I mean? The plant guy. Zetsu. Zetsu. I didn't like that they were like Zetsu spawns for most of the army. And then you had like dead characters, which was fun at times, and then other times didn't really hit. Yeah, I've liked this more than that. Does the fact that those revived by Mayori having their lifespan greatly reduced or having permanent disfigurement make their return easier for you to swallow? A little bit, yeah. How do you think this trade-off will affect their psyche? I do like that there's a price to pay for bringing them back. I think that helps. That definitely helps. Which character did you didn't expect to get more involved in the story throughout Core 3? Most likely besides Uryu, because I'm sure everyone is surprised with his new participation in the anime. Yeah. Really love your content and excited to be here to read the last chapters of the manga for the first time alongside you, man. Oh, nice. You're gonna read the manga for the first time? That's great. That's fun. I'm glad that you and I are literally on the same page. That's cool. That's really cool, actually. I'm used to everyone already having finished. Didn't expect to get more involved in the story throughout Core 3. Yeah, who wasn't I expecting to see more of? Pretty much everyone that came back. I wasn't really expecting the Fullbringers, Raruka and Yukio, especially. I was surprised that they're involved at all in this. Anyone else that? Oh, Ganju for sure. Yuriichi, I'm glad to see back. I'm glad that the like Soul Society arc gang is like mostly back together. Although Chad and Orihime have been very underutilized, I think. So there's that. Do you feel the latter parts of this core is picking up the pace a little too fast, at least in the manga? It's commonly known that Kubo had a serious shoulder problem by this time in the series and unfortunately had to rush things. I haven't really felt it. I mean, a little bit, but it's felt like it's naturally rolled into like more of a quicker like the stakes are high. We're kind of rolling into the climax. I haven't felt the rush that much, to be honest. Maybe I will as I proceed, but so far, no. Completely unrelated, but Bleach is coming to Fortnite. That's cool. I've never played Fortnite, but that's cool. Is it like... Because that takes a lot of characters from a lot of things, right? Like there's people running around as like Homer Simpson fighting Goku, right? But that's cool. Is it like, how many is it, just Ichigo, or is it like a lot of characters? What's your favorite new transformation in Core 3, counting Bankai that doesn't necessarily change their look as well? My favorite new transformation, I really like, well, Uryu's Volstandish. That was really cool to actually see. I love the way it's utilized, so probably that. Otherwise, Gerard's like transformation into like a giant is really cool. I like that a lot. And Shinsui's Bankai, probably. Those are probably my favorites. Last question. What's the process like for making your YouTube discussion videos? Like, who does the editing and finds the images? How many times do you rewatch and reread? Does the audio require multiple takes, or does it happen over several recording sessions? Those, I don't know if I've ever really talked much about this, which is funny, because... Okay, so the process is... My friend Henry finds the images. He sends me the panels, the screen caps, the renders, anything that he thinks might be useful. And then if I like to make references in my videos, as I'm sure you know, like movie references or like any of those things that aren't Bleach related, I'll typically look up myself when I'm adding to the video. like, you know, MCU images or like quotes from The Godfather. That type of stuff, like, I'll find because that's part of my. So initially, I take a bunch of notes after I read the manga and I watch the episodes, and then I turn it into like a loose script. That some of it is like just to formulate my thoughts, and then a lot of times I'll go off script. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we start. Is I watch and read on Patreon. I take notes. He gathers the images and usually he has them ahead of time because he knows what's coming up. He sends them to me, so I have a folder of everything I might need, and then I add in reference pictures of things that I want to talk about, like movie related references or little jokes. Um, then I do the editing and recording, and sometimes the recordings I mess up, and I do a lot of. It takes a lot of time to edit the recording sometimes if I'm messing up or things don't sound right or I have to go back and add something. Um, but yeah, usually I do a rereads as I'm working on it to make sure I'm not missing anything I want to talk about. Sometimes I'll rewatch the episodes as I'm taking notes. Um, but yeah, the first time seeing everything is on Patreon. Those are the initial read-alongs and recordings and reactions, and then from there, I kind of focus on that chunk of story while working on the video. Um, yeah, it's a lot of work actually. It's like hours and hours and hours of work for the analysis videos, but it's fun. But it is a lot of work. But yeah, thank you for asking because it's a process and it's fun. That's it for the questions for Core 3. I'll do this again at the end of Core 4, whenever that is. Maybe, depending on when the episode's released, I'll have already finished the manga, so maybe I'll do a Q&A at the end of the manga. I don't know, but we'll do this again for sure. Thank you all for the questions. I really appreciate it. If you're here on YouTube later on, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Yeah, this is surreal to be here, but we're here and we're towards the final stretch. So, yeah, I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.